Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the final talk of Turnip Innovation Festival 2022. Yes, this is the final talk because the final talk by Miss Sanskriti Pawan is cancelled. She had some urgent family commitments, and so this will be the final talk. After which I will just come back and give some closing remarks. For this talk, I welcome Mr. Prasad Jaladi. He is the founder and the chief facilitator of Suraksha. He helps his clients to achieve the best with solutions for their business success. Okay, the foundation of his services is exposure to multiple industries. Innovation with sustainability is his passion, and he's instrumental in transforming startup companies to global players. So this is what he will be sharing today about innovation with global mindset. So I welcome you, sir, Mr. Prasad Jaladi. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you so much, Rahul, and thanks again for doing Turnip Innovation Festival 2022. I'm delighted to be here for a couple of reasons because this is Startup Festival. The second one is I'm a graduate from Andhra University, so both things made me to be excited to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prasad Jaladi. I am the founder and chief facilitator at Suraksha. We are based at US. We are all volunteer-run organization based at Austin, Texas. What we're trying to do is to educate everyone on environment from elementary school to PhDs and postdocs, of course, professionals and executives as well. We are at a pivotal time where we need to stay focused on a few things on innovation around sustainability, etc. So today's talk is a timely talk, I assume, because we're in a scenario where the globe is warming beyond our control sometimes. So we have to eradicate this pollution, etc. So the title today's title is Climate Innovation with Global Mindset. How do we achieve that? We are going to discuss in a few moments. The premise for this talk is to understand what's going on in this world today. We have to be under ecological ceiling and at the same time under social foundations. The safe and just space for humanity need to be maintained. Otherwise, the incidents like climate change, ocean acidification, chemical pollutions, etc., would happen, and we would be also suffering from freshwater withdrawals, heavy withdrawals, I would say. And we have to mind land conservation, biodiversity, and we have to take care and think about air pollution, so on and so forth. So with all these things, this would pan out to be an environmental justice issue also. Without health, we can't sustain by any means. So we can earn much, but again, what's the fun in spending more money on healthcare, right? It's not nice. So we have to do a lot of research with the environmental mindset, with capacity building and addressing the current issues of today. So this also includes incorporation of UN SDGs. Perhaps I would go slow on a few things. You can stop me anytime if you like. If you have any questions, you are most welcome. There are about 17 UN SDGs, each one linked to each other in a way that would have a meaningful approach. I would mostly cover usually on UN SDG 12, 13, and 14 because these three things are close to me. And of course, me being in innovation and entrepreneurship, I would also opt for 17 at large. So these are all my passionate things. Of course, when I do all those things, I would be touching innovation that would also prevent poverty and also enhance education qualities, etc., gender neutrality, diversity, etc., would also involve in these things. I would like to showcase the Western approach on innovation. Usually, if you universities, entrepreneur incubators, partners, and corporate enterprise sponsors and venture investments would involve in this journey. And in the middle, there are all the machine machines that are working under this IP regime. It's going to be a robust system, like establishing critical success factors, also establishing incubator best practices, key services who are built into these things, covering IP assets, strategic management, patent searches, IP strategies, draftings, trademark management, etc. When it comes to venture investments, which is going to be our final topic today, that would also enable them to establish exit criteria, and they would also be able to establish advisory boards, access to specialized laboratories at reduced rates, etc. Technology commercialization assistance would be also looked into. They would also look into potential exit opportunities for startups. That would eventually pan into other things to be considered, like technology intelligence, landscape analysis, etc. These are all being prospected, positioned, and paved a path to potential mergers and acquisitions. This also eventually foster new startups and trigger successful exit opportunities as well. So let me describe the Western IP horseshoe. This involves IP creation, IP protection, IP commercialization, IP performances. When we talk about IP creation, it involves capture ideas, manage invention disclosures, IP financial planning, IP assessments for commercialization. Under that, we cover technology landscape analysis, identifying opportunities and trends, and also identify potential targets for acquisition, competitive intelligence, etc. Aligning IP strategy with business strategy is the key also, and that would lead into licensing, royalty incomes, IP audits, and sponsored research, etc. Later on, it would be involved in market research, target marketing, early stage funding explorations, and VC angels would involve in these things. Then industry collaborations would also happen. Companies would publish their IP annual reports and IP performance metrics, etc., so that they would have a strong IP regime in their control, and they would be driving the business around the world. And let's focus on startup funding. This is our prime focus today. It would be having a few things like pre-seed funding, seed capital, angel invest funding, venture capital funding, etc., mezzanine finance and bridge loans, and initial public offerings called IPO. Pre-seed funding could happen with any entrepreneur who has an idea and wants to start a company or to develop his idea further into a business. So that particular entrepreneur might invest himself and along with his family members, etc. That's where this pre-seed funding happens. It would be well under 100K or maybe lower than that. And they do something. They think deeply about these ideas and also do some research, and they would align with that person would align with people and also try to identify some folks who might be very helpful to take that idea to the next level. Then the same individual would also raise some money from his family and also friends, which would be eventually filled into as a seed capital. And after that, they can also look into more investment, like angel investments. Angel investors could be individuals or group of individuals who are authorized to invest some money, and they need to qualify certain financial criteria in terms of their earnings, etc. So they would eventually help these entrepreneurs to fund the idea, and then the venture capital investment involves that includes Series A, B, and C. Let's talk about Series A and B. Once the business has developed with track record like user base, consistent revenues, having key performance indicators, long-term plan and long-term business profit would be established. This round of funding would be somewhere between 2 to 15 million, and the companies would be at that time would be valued at somewhere in between 2 to 15 million. So when they get this kind of funding, they would eventually help building the business, and later on they would be looking for raising Series B, which is for taking the business to next level, uh, past the development stage of the business. Series B funding is used to grow the company typically, and the average lookout for the money would be around 30 million or more. And at that time, the company valuation might be somewhere around 30 to 60 million. That's how they would be able to attract 30 millions at that point of time. The next phase is Series C. This is totally for the success of the company. This is after after raising the Series B, and this is an additional funding to develop new products, expanding to the new markets, and also even to acquire new companies within their fold. At that time, the company typical value would be around 120 million. So that's where they would be interested to raise funding at that level. And there are some other financial models like mezzanine financing and bridge loans before getting onto IPO. And in IPO, you know the game. It would be a public offering. Many individuals would be interested to invest in the company. Then it would go public, and that would enable any company to expand internationally at the level they want, depending on the funding that they are raising. The next thing is, how do you do these things? You have a starting point. You can do in your garage in the beginning, but after a while, you need to be surrounded by well experienced people. So in that connection, incubators would help entrepreneurs to get there. Meaning raising all this kind of fundings and establish market footprint, and also controlling IP, and at the same time expanding into new areas, internationally in different geographies, etc. Incubators would run cohorts mostly once in a quarter. They might be 3 or 4 cohorts every year, and there are two kinds of incubators. One type of incubators would be charging no fee at all, and they wouldn't be claiming no equity. What they do is they would offer training, say for at least 6 months, and they would give you guidance every step of the way, so that you would identify and establish an MVP, and pitch to the investors, and also enter into a competition where you would win the competition, leading ahead of other competitors on the virtue of your brilliant idea, either a product or a service, whichever it is. In this mode, you would be awarded a check depending on the incubator's interest at that point of time. Usually, they put a budget like 500K, maybe 1 million, and they would split across 3-4 companies, like first prize, second prize, and third prize. Winner, runner-up, and second runner-up kind of distribution. And of course, during this competition also, some of the investors might be writing you a check also, because they like your idea. They support you for taking your idea to the global market. You would be obviously a lucky person on that. So on that front, the other incubators run cohorts with fee. They would charge you a charge fee to the entrepreneurs, and the process is more or less same, but depending on the incubator policy, they have fee or no fee. So that's how you would be entering into these incubators. The advantage with incubators is they have very good connections all around across multiple industries. So as long as your idea is great, as long as you are aligned with the principles, and as long as you are flexible to learn on how to take your idea to the global market, you would be okay. And eventually, you have to win a competition to get a check from these investors. So you have to remember always that you are working against several good ideas, and you have to fine tune every step of the way so that you would not only gain the attention of investors, at the same time you would have a better idea at all times. So if you have to expand the business globally, if you have a product and you want to expand it to the other parts of the world, perhaps you might be thinking about value-added resellers, and you may also build partnerships. And another idea is to start a satellite office in different parts of the world, and then expand your operations by hiring qualified people over there. Another brilliant idea, which I did sometimes, is to to get into a co-working space where incubators and accelerators are operating, and work with them as a member, and get access to the mentors, advisors. You can recruit team there, and you can also have access to funding. Whenever there is a competition, you can always apply for these competitions and pitch there, and you would be attracting some funding there too. Obviously, you might be thinking why we would do on the name of environmental protection or climate side. The green technologies are always very helpful in general. Another reason is fundamentally the financing situation is changing. The person in this picture is the founder and CEO of BlackRock, and they control something like 9.1 trillion assets under their management, and their revenue is 2022. This kind of big organizations, funding organizations, who also control the city funding, and which is also across the world in steering the what we call the business strategies, are insisting on to go green. So Larry Fink went on saying, climate change is driving a profound reassessment of risk, and we anticipate a significant reallocation of capital. That means from now onwards, they would be allocating funds either in innovation point of view or investment point of view on the green technology also. This has to be noted with care, because if you don't do that, you may not be entitled for good amount of funding in the near future. So here is another opportunity. Even before the COVID emerged, the ESG Focus Funds has grown by 144% since 2004. You can see the rise from 2004 to 2018 growth. The number of ESG Focus Funds, were risen up to how many? Almost 275, so on and so forth. That means there is huge focus on green technologies investment and ESG investment. So if you are in this field, you would be certainly benefited with this funding. This is worldwide funding, so you can't lose this kind of opportunity ever. And there is another angle of looking at that. Basically, there is no difference in the performance of sustainable funds when compared to the traditional funding, business funding opportunities. Sustainable funds may offer lower market risk and also demonstrated about 20% smaller downside deviation, meaning this is very trustworthy investment in general, and this is very encouraging scenario for any investor who would like to work on ideas with the green technologies that would help environment in general. And even if you look at the global trend, even under the stress of COVID, the strength of sustainability strategy is very, very strong in new green economy effective strategy point of view. If you look at the right-hand side, the V-shaped curve is really quick bouncing back if you have a sustainable strategy built into your business model. Otherwise, with the chaos going on with COVID, it would very weak, and loosening of even environmental regulations wouldn't help anybody. So it would be very, very weak in comparison to the other other approaches, I would say. So how do you fix the problem of these things? Usually in Indian context, many people would be having a fear of failure. So we can build IP wealth having 90% of people want to work for someone. That's not going to happen. To build a nation, society should think to reward from failure, meaning the failed people might be having better experience. More investments by corporations have to be made in real R&D, no copying. Government, university, industry nexus should be built up. We have to create a flat work culture than too much hierarchical structure and working in silos kind of environments. Openness to share knowledge is the key, and partnerships are the key also for the success. We have to remind these two things. Taking risk with new ideas would be always helpful. Look at any successful organization. They have taken risks, and that's why they are more successful in general. Using technology intelligence to success than over competing. In India, there might be over competing in different industries. We might be actually using technology intelligence to overcome such kind of bad decisions. If we don't do that, we will be killing each other in terms of a margin, so that nobody would thrive. So here is the time for action. How do we take an action to succeed in India especially? We have to shift from service nation to innovation nation. More innovation incorporating environmental safety needed to be taken care. Strengthening of research at universities and government institutions should be implemented as soon as possible. It's happening, but it has to be done in a more rapid way and robust way, so that everyone would be benefited, and the students need to be educated on these fronts also. More focus on research leading to technology commercialization is the key. Otherwise, we would be just publishing papers and it wouldn't take us anywhere. We would be simply filling the web space. Nothing else would happen. Encouraging transparency and openness at all levels would help each other to learn. To learn from openness. Encouraging transparency and openness would help everyone, so that we can learn from each other. Focusing more on basic research would also help many organizations, so that they would have a robust system built into the corporations, universities, and also government research centers. Creating healthy cultures to compete with fair practices like respecting IP and filing for IP would eventually help everyone at this juncture. In US itself, there is a theft of 350 billion on annual basis. This is FBI report. So anybody can copy your idea if you don't file um, and file for intellectual property if you have a good idea. So um, take initiative on those things, be proactive and think ahead of the curve and take right steps to protect your IP so that you won't worry later on for not doing it early on. With that, thanks again for doing this great event. If anybody has any questions, I will be glad to answer. And you can reach out to me with any questions that you have, and I put my contact number and email address over here.
Should I play the video that we have?
Sure.
Okay, so folks, you can note the number, the website and everything. I'll play the video for Suraksha. Great. Some thank you messages are there. So yeah, okay, let's start the video. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable contribution. And audience, if you have any questions, this is your last chance to ask any questions. So sir is still there for 5 minutes. And this is also our last talk. So I should also use this as an opportunity to thank our sponsors, Climbfort, Arctic Invent, and DPIIT IPR Chair, Andhra University, for making this event at such a massive event, free of charge. So big thanks to them. And thank you to the audience, really, for attending throughout the day. I understand 8-hour live streams are quite a big deal. But I am seeing that most of you I saw early in the day. I'm seeing the chat from the morning and you are still here. So great job. And thank you so much.
May I do a shout out?
Yes, please.
Yeah. If anybody out there is listening, I know it's a long day, but through Suraksha, we have taken a pledge that we would empower 1 million entrepreneurs that are mindful of environment. So please use our support. We have a group of volunteers with different walks, including ocean health, which includes like 30 trillion economy. So let's be part of this great endeavor of saving the planet and work together so that we can create a lot of IP. India is at the cusp of grabbing this opportunity. We are traditionally a sustainable
Mm.
nation. So let's grab this opportunity, just like the way we have grabbed opportunities in information technology, biotechnology, of course, in pharma and nanotechnology as well. Not to forget space technology as well. Let's do it, folks. Thanks
Mhm.
again for the time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So, folks, this is the end of Turnip Innovation Festival. I'm really, really glad that all the events went flawlessly, and you all were there to support. I can see all the likes on the YouTube videos. The certificates will be issued on Monday since the team is on holiday tomorrow, and it's a large task to issue certificates. Plus, we will send you a feedback form via email, so make sure you fill it. Make sure you find that email if it lands in your promotions or the spam folder. And certificates will not be issued to emails which have not been confirmed. So if you have registered via Google form and you have not confirmed your email, you will not get a certificate. So make sure you fetch the email from promotions or spam folder, and verify your email, verify, click on the verification link, and also fill the feedback form. I wish you a great evening, a great weekend ahead, and really good luck in your careers. And we will meet again in future events. Goodbye, and thank you very much.